first AMA
Yeah,
with
it's all good, man.
uh
Glad to be here, and it's always a learning process, and this will be your first of many. So I'm glad you figured it out, and we figured it out.
I appreciate it, brother. So far, we see some ones. Someone said you were low, but you didn't come up low on my end, so it might be their
Okay.
situation.
Yeah, I can turn my mic up a little bit. I don't want to do it if it's only for them.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it was only for that guy because everybody's saying one right now. All right, man.
all
Welcome
right,
to our
cool.
first live with the mighty leader, Forex Shark, and
Thank you.
we're going to be talking about a few things in regards to the animal farm and what's coming down the pipe. So without further ado, I'll give you guys just a small summary of my background. I was a YouTuber. I played a lot of Roblox. I made a name for myself in Roblox years ago. Fast forward to about last year, I lost hundreds and thousands of subscribers. I lost my channels, and I can't get them back. I created my DeFi channel, and here we are now. That's basically how it happened.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, I know how that goes, man. I had a channel way back like in 2017, 2018. I was doing kind of a trick where I would take trending videos on other social media platforms, and I would uh go in a video editor to essentially
mhm.
create my videos, but put the trending video in front of my video, and then I would use the YouTube Studio to only display the trending video as it was trending on the other social medias, and use the title of the video that was trending. I would use that title, use those tags, use everything, and the video would get trending because people would be searching for it because it would be trending. And then once it got trending, once it got in the algorithm, I would clip out that part, put my video in it because it was already there. It was just a matter of going in YouTube Studio and changing what got displayed in the video, and then changing the title, changing everything over, and the video would be trending, but it would be my video now,
That's
and but it would be in the algorithm already. Yeah, and oh man, I was killing it. I was adding tens of thousands of subscribers like every week, and really blowing up using that strategy. And then in 2018, when a lot of crypto YouTube channels were getting taken down, mine got taken down as well. And I don't know if it was because of some of the strategies I was using, like really taking advantage of their algorithm, or it was because I was another crypto channel that got taken down. But yeah, it's at the time it was like, oh, whatever. I was doing it for fun and to get info out. But now I would really like to have that YouTube channel back because it had a ton of views and a ton of subscribers. But that's not my thing. I'm not a YouTuber anyways, but it's always good to have a strong platform like that. So I know what it's like to lose a channel, and I'm glad you didn't give up. You got back on your horse, so that's good.
All right, 1 second, Forex. They're saying that there is an echo going on, so I'm gonna mute my mic and then have you talk, and then see if the echo is still happening because they're saying there's an echo going on.
Yeah, do you know if it's echoing? Am I echoing? Are you echoing? Like, where's that echo? I don't hear an echo. You know, mute yourself in Discord.
Okay, let me mute. Let me do that.
I don't know if I'll be able to hear you if you do, but you could try.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, if I mute myself in Discord, you can't hear me. So maybe I could. It's picking up somewhere else. Maybe.
Yeah, so if you look at Streamlabs, you could be uh, using Discord's audio as an input, so that your audio is coming through there, and then also using your mic as an input on Streamlabs. So you could be using two of your audio um, as an input
Okay.
through Discord and through your mic directly on
Let me
Streamlabs.
delete that Discord and then
Is it me that's echoing or is it you that's echoing? Or
uh
both?
I didn't catch it, but Um, I'm gonna find out now. Let me pull this back up. All right. Am I echoing now?
Hello, hello, Echo.
Okay, they're saying still.
Is it you that's echoing, or is it me, or both? Do you know? Can you
Oh,
answer
they said
that?
it's just Forex. Forex has an echo. Forex
Hmm.
is echoing. Somebody said no echo. Somebody said sounds fine. I think I may have corrected it on my end. If yeah, I think I think I might have corrected it. So yeah,
Okay.
can you guys hear us now? All right,
Hello,
perfect.
hello,
So yeah,
hello.
as far as the YouTube thing, so yeah, that led me here. And basically, when I first started back into DeFi, my goal was to jump into NFT gaming in the play to earn space. Um, and
Yep.
life is strange like that because we're slowly getting to that point inside the ecosystem with Drip in the Animal Farm and Forex and your team. So here we are.
Yeah. So speaking to NFTs and play to earn, I think that there is a possibility to have a play to earn system. If you do have a play to earn system, there has to be a strong value that is created for the game and for the ecosystem when people play. And the issue with a lot of these games is that they're glorified staking contracts where users can oftentimes just be a participant, uh, and sometimes not even continue to bring capital into the system, but be able to earn capital, usually in a project token, just for showing up, right? Just for connecting their wallet and being on the site and doing some simple game mechanics, which is easy to automate. And these systems have a lot of trouble holding value because when you have a system that allows users to drain capital from your system just by showing up, um, you really don't have a strong cash flow to make up for that. So,
Forex, 1 second. They're
yeah.
still saying you're echoing. It's I'm not sure. This because I took off all the extra tabs and things we were on, so I'm not sure where the echo is coming from.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no
Uh,
idea.
let me. All right, I just muted the application audio capture. I want to see if maybe it was sending.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is it good now,
Well,
y'all? Oh, somebody
can they
says
hear
fine.
me?
All right, so for those who don't know, because most of us in the DeFi and crypto space, we know who you are. But for those who don't know, Forex, can you please give us a brief summary of your background and who you are?
Yeah, sure. Can they hear me now that you took off the app input? They can
Y-
still hear me?
Yeah, they're saying it's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and just to wrap up the point I was making with the play to earn, I think that either uh there needs to be some kind of strong cash flow coming into the game, whereas uh it could be advertisers, it could be some sort of some sort of payment that the user is paying every time they play. In that case, the payment needs to be larger than what they're able to earn in the system, and it would have to be a game that is that fun that they want to play and they're willing to pay for it. Or you need to have a game that is win to earn. And
Yeah,
this way, if you have a game that's win to earn, and there's either a level of a high level of skill that cannot be automated due to some element of random variance, you can have a system similar to a poker game or any kind of battler game where the winner wins. Battler games can be difficult, right? Because there's cheating there, but a good example is something like a poker game where
Hmm.
it cannot be automated because there's a level of skill and a level of random variance. And in this case, the capital that the winner is earning is coming from the other participants that are paying capital to join, whether it's a buy into a tournament or a straight cash game. And capital is not being drained from the system because the system acts as a platform to allow users to wager against each other, and the
Hmm.
platform takes a small percentage off of that, which goes into supporting a token or supporting the ecosystem. And in this kind of system, it can actually be sustainable and it
Yeah,
can be a profitable
I
cash flow
I agree. Like I think going into DeFi gaming when it comes to skills and wagering is better than just the simple police and thief wolf game type of game. So I'm glad we're kind of going in that direction first, as far as the play to earn and the Web3 gambling aspect, instead of going into a project with NFTs where people can just kind of drain the system and then the project is over within a few weeks or a month.
Yeah, it's important that you have very strong mechanics, and there's thousands of years built into the mechanics and the economics of some of these games, such as dice, such as coin flips, these kinds of games,
Right.
where it's very cut and dry that they can be a system that is essentially impossible to game from a cheating perspective. When I say game,
Right.
and can be used to generate a cash flow for the host of the game, which in turn can go back to supporting a token or an ecosystem. And Yeah, so to give a quick history of myself, because I'm sure there's a lot of people from the community that are here, but you have your own independent audience. So
Right.
yeah, I'll tell them a little bit about myself. I got into the crypto space in around 2012. I had a buddy who was running a sports book. Actually, at the time, sports betting online was in a gray area in the U.S., and it was not how it is now. There were a couple strictly online sports books, but some of them, a lot of them, were online in the sense that you could make a wager and you could see the odds and you could place a bet. But when it came time to settling, you would go meet someone in your city and actually pay them cash. So it was like half
Okay.
online, half not online. And one of my buddies was a guy who worked for basically a bookie in my city that he would go and collect money from people. And they were uh, setting up a payment processor for their book. And because it was in a gray area of regulation at the time, they got their payment processor shut down.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so I started looking around at various options, and I noticed that one of the very early sports books had a crypto option at the time. Bitcoin was really the only crypto in 2012. There were other digital currencies, but none of them were built on a blockchain, and none of them had the decentralized open source level of protection.
Hmm.
They were using databases, centralized databases that worked in a way that was somewhat like a blockchain, but it was fully centralized, fully closed source, and because of this, they were come and go. Like there was one called I believe it was called the Fed dollar, and there was something called the gold dollar. There was a bunch of ones that were popping up around that time before and shortly after Bitcoin became a thing. So some of these other books were using these other digital currencies and then using Bitcoin as well. And I saw Bitcoin as really the only viable option because of its decentralized nature and because anybody could custody their own wallet and they were not required to work with one of these third parties that could eventually end up taking your money or
Mm-hmm.
or doing essentially anything they want, devaluing the currency, all kinds of things were happening. And very shortly before this, one of the other digital currencies, it was in fact the largest one, got taken down, and the people who created it, got in legal trouble, all of this. So I saw a decentralized option as the only viable one. So I brought this to my friend who showed it to his bosses, and shortly after that, we got a Bitcoin payment option for his book. And
Okay.
at the time, I had bought $500 worth of Bitcoin. It was at $14. Uh, Unfortunately, I did not use a custody wallet. So we used a site called My eWallet. It was built on top of uh, the exchange that ended up going belly up. One of the very early ones. It's slipping my mind right now, but in 2014 they ended up getting hacked. Early 2014,
Damn.
uh, and it they didn't. There's a lot of questions of whether they got hacked or whether the owner
Just ran off.
took the money, but
Mm-hmm.
they started off as a Magic the Gathering card place where people could trade those cards.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and then people started using Bitcoin to trade the cards, the Magic cards, and then very shortly after that, it turned into a Bitcoin exchange. But the owner was very incompetent because he wasn't someone that, came from running major financial exchanges. He had a small exchange that people could trade Magic the Gathering cards. So there's a lot of question on whether he was just completely like inept and didn't know what he was doing, so he hired the wrong people,
Or he knew
and one
exactly
of
what
his
he was
employees
doing.
hacked him. Yeah, or if he just took the money. Yeah, basically. But anyways, uh, when when that happened, the My eWallet site essentially disappeared, right? And either they took the money a little bit before that, or at the time that exchange went down, and that's when I really learned, not your keys, not your coins,
Gotcha.
and really learned the value of crypto. I didn't when I initially bought it. I kind of bought it and forgot about it until I heard about the WikiLeaks story and I heard about Silk Road, and I heard Bitcoin was over $100, and I was like, oh wait a minute, I got like $5,000 worth of this. I better go check it out and see what's on there. And then I went, and the site was gone. So
Oh, damn.
uh, when I saw WikiLeaks and I saw some of the other utilities that were utilizing Bitcoin and really having success with it, that's when it became less of something that I was helping out a friend with, and more something that I knew I wanted to get heavily invested into, and I knew it was going to essentially be the future of finance. Or I saw it as
Mm-hmm.
either Bitcoin or something like Bitcoin would end up being the future of finance. So I started a Discord server around 2015, something like that. A few years after I initially got introduced to Bitcoin, I was trading Forex. I started trading Bitcoin, and I was trading some stock options. In fact, I started off trading stock options, and relatively shortly after, about 6 months, 8 months after, I realized that Forex was a better opportunity just due to the lack of regulation around it, the lack of complexity. Stock options for someone that's new to trading can be a very complex trading vehicle, an investment vehicle to deal with.
For sure.
So I migrated more into Forex and into Bitcoin. In 2018, I was one of the largest cash for Bitcoin vendors on local Bitcoins. Um, my server started growing because people, I had friends and family join because all the other Discord servers that I would go on that were about trading would be people, shilling their exchange referral links and really bad systems, and they were really exploitative. So I wanted to create a little space for friends and family. But by 2018, that really grew, and in 2019 or late 2018, I had one of my buddies in the server tell me that he had a developer friend that was launching a smart contract project on Ethereum and was looking to raise capital for it. So I kind of partnered with this guy after I checked out his project. I realized that it was unique and it was something that could probably do well. I raised capital for this project in my server and in a friend's server as well. The project ended up doing like 10x in the first couple of weeks.
Nice, nice.
We made a ton of money, and that developer kind of recognized my technical skill and recognized that I knew what I was talking about when it came to markets and I could raise capital and all these things.
Mm.
So he asked me to come on and help him create a bot for market making. And I ended up creating a Python script that could be plugged into Exchange APIs and could add liquidity to both sides of the order book on tokens to create a market very similar to how an automated market maker works, like on Uniswap, because at the time Uniswap didn't exist.
Right.
And I utilize this to add liquidity and market make for about a year and a half. Some of the early ERC20 tokens and some non EVM tokens. On some of them, like Hex, for example, that's one that a lot of people in the community know. I was the only market maker on Hex when Hex was on Buydesk. Buying Hex every time it dropped below 1 Satoshi in the ETH pair, and then buying it every time it was worth 2 Satoshis on the Bitcoin pair, just creating a market that way, back and forth. Uh, and that really continued until Uniswap launched. Once Uniswap launched, there wasn't as much of a need for market making for these ERC20 tokens. So I really just focused on raising capital and partnering with these tokens as an advisor. We raised capital for dozens and dozens of ERC20 projects. Really, some of the largest projects in the space because it was very early on. So really, the projects that turned out to be uh, really infrastructure projects that became, the major utility tokens that kind of allow the ERC20 token and a lot of EVM chains to function. We were part of raising capital and advising for them. And then in 2020, late 2020, early 2021, I ended up launching my first project. So I helped found a Telegram group called Crypto Moonshots. It ended up being the largest general crypto Telegram group,
Hmm.
uh, the most active, and also eventually the largest amount of users. Um, I had everybody telling me, "You're gonna launch your own token. We've raised capital for all these projects. You've been an advisor for all these big projects. When are you gonna do your own?" And eventually, uh, I launched Reap, and Reap was the first ever deflationary reflective reward token. And
Nice, nice.
yeah, and reflective rewards just essentially means a token that has a tax associated with every transaction that is distributed to all holders. And the REAP token has a 2% tax on every transaction. 1% gets distributed to all holders, and 1% is sent to a burn address, so it's removed from circulation. And we are the first token to ever do that kind of innovation. And of course, it was copied and borrowed from all kinds of tokens out there. And
Right.
now almost every meme token has a kind of reflective reward burn mechanic, right? Like basically all of them. So Reap was an extreme success. We did over 700x in the first few months. It's done over that by now. It was just a token for about 6 months, and then I launched the Reap DAO And now the REAP token acts as essentially a key to give you access to a private Telegram group where we do third party raises, we do information sharing, and we're in the process of developing a platform that will open up the door to a lot more third party capital raises. We'll do our in house private raises for any future project I do. And then also, we're going to be having essentially a dashboard where I'll be sharing my analysis of markets, my trades in real time, and also any uh, information about current economic events. So essentially, an economic calendar where I'll go on there and share my analysis of major economic events. So this is something that the DAO users will get access to. Currently, right now, we have about 250 Tier 1 DAO members, and this is because it costs anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000 to get access,
Right.
and because the REAP token is limited in supply, and because you need 300 REAP tokens and the price of REAP, it prevents there from really being any more than about 250, 300 members. But in a couple months, we're going to be opening up a tier two,
Mhm.
essentially an extra 1,000 seats of the DAO that will cost a tenth of the price of a tier one seat, and users will get access to the private capital raises, and
And
also, yeah,
the tier two will be based on using or people acquiring an NFT, correct?
yeah. So both tier one and tier two are switching over to an NFT model. Yes.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome.
Yeah. So the reason why we're switching to an NFT model is because we want the NFT to act as the credentials to log into the account and also represent all of the associated capital raises and tokens available to claim from previous capital raises uh, on the account. So if you have a seat in the DAO, so you hold one of these NFTs and you participate in a raise, and that raise has been distributed, you'll be able to claim that raise on the site by logging into the site with your NFT.
Oh,
You'll connect
nice.
your Yeah, you'll connect your wallet. It will display the NFTs that you have in your wallet.
Mhm.
You'll select the one you log in with
Oh,
the
one
sheet.
second, Forex, you broke up a little bit.
Okay.
I
Do
can
you
hear
want me
you
to say
now.
that again?
Yeah, please.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so when you connect your wallet, it will display a log account, and now any token you have from a previous capital raise available to claim are vested. So some raises, sometimes when you participate in a pre-sale, the tokens will have a vested deal, which means maybe you get 20% of your tokens up front,
Mhm.
and then every week a little bit more of your tokens that are distributed from your contribution get unlocked. So
Okay.
we have a dashboard that allows you to see how many tokens you have vested, how many tokens you have available to claim, at what point all of your tokens will be available to claim. All that information is in there, and also different options that are available to you for open raises that you can participate in. Now, at any point, if for whatever reason you want to sell access to your DAO seat, you can sell the DAO seat, and the user that buys it not only gets your seat at the DAO, which is limited, we're only selling 1,000 tier two seats,
Mhm.
but also any of the tokens from raises that you've contributed to or are available to claim. What I mean by that is, uh, say, uh, say I just participated in a raise and I contributed $1,000,
Okay.
and I have $2,000 available to claim from another raise that I participated in a few months ago, let's say.
Mhm.
Now, someone is telling you, hey, I really wanted to get into that raise that you just did. I wasn't able to because no one would sell me a Dow seat. I'll buy your Dow seat off you. Uh, the Dow seat is worth, say, $2,000, and you just contributed $1,000 to that to that pre-sale raise, let me give you $5,000 for the seat right now. And
That's
yeah,
bullish.
now you could sell them the seat and put a premium on the raise that you just contributed to
Mm,
because they didn't get access to it. They missed it, but now you can still sell it to them.
right.
So it's a very strong value because there's no kind of launchpad project that has an escrow service like that where you don't have to rely on a third party to say, okay, uh, give me the keys to your wallet, and now when you get the tokens distributed for the pre-sale, I'll send it to this person, right? Obviously, using a escrow service like that is relying on a third party. You have to give them their keys, and it's a major risk that you're
Risk.
taking.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah, in this case, there's no third party involved for you to be able to sell raises that you participated in or access to future raises, or even you could have 1,000 tokens that you contributed to. So you contribute to a raise, you get 1,000 tokens. Those 1,000 tokens are vested. Let's say they're vested for a year. So you will have those tokens unlocked for a year. Let's say, just for an example.
Hmm.
Well, you might have paid $5,000 for those tickets, but for those tokens. But say it launched and it's down 50% for whatever reason, just to give just to make the example very obvious. Now, someone could say, um, someone could say, I want those tokens, and you're saying, hey, this is down 50% in a year. It might be worth nothing. I want to get rid of these tokens, but they're vested. I can't get rid of them. Someone might say, well, right now they're trading for $5. I'll buy them off you for $4, and I'll take your vested tokens because I think in a year this project's really going to be worth a lot, and
Right.
I'll buy them off you right now, even though the project isn't doing well right now, because I'm not worried about them being vested because I think they'll be worth a lot in a year when I can unlock them. And you want to get out of it, you can't get out of it right now unless you're willing to sell them for under market price. Because obviously, that person that wants to buy them, they could just buy them for market price right now. So someone could get out of a deal by selling them at a reduced cost because they're vested. And any other launchpad project, if you got into a project and you invested in it and your tokens are vested and now the project's not doing well and you just want to get out of it, it wasn't possible. But now with our system, you can sell your seat at the Dow, which will come with all those vested tokens. And yeah, you might have to sell those tokens for a little under market value, but at least you're able to get out of a position that is vested by selling your seat at the Dow, by selling that NFT.
Mm,
So it gives a ton of flexibility for you to be able to sell tokens that you contributed to but have not got yet for a premium to someone that was not able to participate in the raise because they just did not have access to it at the time. And you can get out of vested positions if you don't think it's going to go well by selling it for a slightly reduced price than market value, or even in the case that it's not listed yet, but you think it's not going to do well for whatever reason. Say you got the tokens distributed to you, but it hasn't been listed yet, but you heard some crazy news about the developer, something like that, and you just want to get out of it. You could sell it for a slightly reduced price to someone, uh, and you would not ever be able to do that unless you used it, which is putting your key in the hand of a third party, or uh, you were trusting the person that you're sending it to. So it opens the door to way more utility, and there's no other kind of launchpad project that has that kind of utility. So it's very strong, and we have a project, a third party project that we're doing a capital raise for that will be ready in June,
okay.
and we have another in-house project called Scratchy that will
Mm,
be doing a capital raise for likely in June as well. So it's important for us that we get the DAO up uh, early June. So that's what we're shooting for. But uh, we have three core products that need to come out before we do anything new, and that is drip. We have a major drip update which is coming.
Hey,
Uh,
that's
yeah,
next Thursday, right? The
next
25th.
Thursday we have a big announcement. So next Thursday we're going to have a voice chat specifically about drip, and we'll
Oh,
be doing
nice.
a major announcement of that, right?
Uh-oh.
Yep, and it's not a drill. And we have Pancake Swap V3 migration, which I think is going to be one of, if not the biggest thing on BSC, and I would
Mm.
love to get into that.
Hmm.
And then we have Piggy Plinko, which is a utility coming for Animal Farm and for the AFD and AFP token, and it's also a taste of something major that we have coming, which is a whole DeFi gaming platform. And
Awesome.
yeah, there's a lot that I want to talk about with the DeFi gaming platform, but some of that I'm kind of keeping. I'm holding close to chest until we get these three things that I just listed out, because I want to. I don't really want to go into what we're doing that's new until we've met our primary three commitments, which is Piggy Plinko, which is Drip Push, and it's Pancake Swap V3. So, yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but Pancake Swap V3 is something that I'm very excited to talk about.
Yeah, and I want to touch on Pancake Swap V3, but
Yep.
I also want to talk about Piggy Plinko as a whole, just Plinko in general. Because remember, we were talking about YouTube and some of our earlier days in YouTube and some of the success we had. So
Yep.
I do have like my own YouTube agency. I help clients run channels and get success on YouTube and earn an income via Google AdSense.
Nice.
But I recently did some research in regards to just the word Plinko. When you type that in on YouTube, a plethora of videos come up with major influencers at that. Guys like XQC,
Yep.
10,000 views, 50,000 views, 100,000 views. I think he had a video with like 900,000 views in the last year. So that just tells me that people are searching. This game, Plinko, is in demand. And once they hear about what we have to offer and how our offer is way better than the competition, I'm pretty sure these guys will have, they will not have much resistance, at least checking it out. Because for somebody like myself, shouts out to Ray, Bartertown Conglomerate, and Lene. We are gamers. So transitioning and creating content for something like Piggy Plinko, we are exposed to a larger viewer group, so we can not only grow, we can bring way more people in with games such as Plinko, Piggy Plinko, and I'm pretty sure you have other games that people play on like Stake and Roulette that are very popular that we might bring into the ecosystem later on. But I just wanted to touch on that for a second because I think that's going to bring Animal Farm and Drip to a whole new broader audience just with Piggy Plinko alone.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why we decided to go with Plinko is because it's one of the highest volume games on Roulette and on Stake. And of course, we did a lot of research on our competitors before we decided to go live with this. And we put together seven different games. So we currently have 7 games developed. Um, the hard part was not developing the games. It was making the games efficient and fast enough that they could run on a blockchain
Mm.
and provide all the value of a blockchain, meaning open source, verifiably fair, verifiably the odds are verifiable, and verifiable outcomes. So every game that you play comes with its own public key that you can then verify with Chainlink to ensure that the outcome of the game came directly from Chainlink's VRF server. So they're
Man,
verifiably random
I'm
functions.
so excited because people don't have to think real hard when it comes to I wonder if somebody's trying to cheat me in the background. Like nobody has to because you can verify what's happening on the blockchain.
Exactly. And you mentioned XQC, there's Trainwreck, these guys.
Yep, yep.
Both XQC and Trainwreck, even though they are major influencers that get paid by Stake. They have come out and essentially said that Stake's games are rigged.
Mm-hmm.
So Stake claims that they have a 5% house edge average across the games, and one of their slots games they claim that it has a 2% house edge. But Trainwreck came out and said that essentially, uh, after thousands and thousands of hours of gameplay on the specific game, the house edge that ended up playing out was about 45% in Stake's favor.
That's
So
crazy.
the edge is not even close to what they said it was, like by a factor of multiples, right?
Right,
And
right.
if anybody, if you're gonna rig a game, right? If anybody is going to have the game rigged in their favor to make it look better than it actually is for the average user, it's going to be the influencer that's bringing in millions of dollars worth of gameplay. You want
Right.
him to be winning on stream, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So for his games to be rigged against him, imagine what they're doing to everybody else,
Right. It's a
right?
crying shame.
It's just crazy. So with our system, you don't have to worry about that. And I know guys like XQC. I don't know about Trainwreck as much. I think he's in a little too deep with Stake, but I know
Mm.
XQC has said that he cannot justify this, and he would be willing to switch over to an option that is not doing that to their user base. There's also
Nice.
a wide range, like guys like Trainwreck, guys like XQC. Yes, they bring on a lot of users, but they're only two people. There are thousands of other influencers that are bringing in volume,
Yeah.
and a lot of those guys are not making any money through contracts. They're making money through referrals, and our system not only allows them to come on and generate referrals, it also ensures that the users that are coming on to through their referral link are not getting robbed and ripped off and scammed. So it allows them to come on with a level of integrity,
Mm.
and on top of that, even uh, our proven house edge is better than their claimed house edge. So
Exactly.
yeah, even if they were committed to what they say is their house edge, which is not true, we would still be a better option. So
Mhm.
and then of course with the verifiably random outcomes and all of this, it's really a no-brainer. The one thing that prevented, I believe, another platform, another crypto platform, for coming out and doing what we're doing, is the inefficiencies with blockchain. So, in order to do a VRF call, it's expensive, right? It costs to do a VRF call to determine the outcomes of the games, to distribute the winnings, to allocate any kind of referral system on that, it would cost a couple dollars.
Mm.
And people, if you're playing like say a slots game or a Plinko game, people do 50-cent bets. People do $1 bets. So how are you gonna charge someone $2 in fees to do a 50-cent bet or a dollar
Right.
bet? It's
Right.
just not viable. And then also, it takes sometimes up to 2 or 3 blocks to have a VRF call returned. So with a VRF call, what you do is you have a contract that says, hey, Chainlink, I need you to return me a random seed. And then that transaction confirms on the chain, which takes a block. Chainlink reads it, generates a random seed, and then sends it back to your contract, which is another transaction. And that needs to confirm. So that right there is, anywhere around 8 seconds. And then Chainlink often doesn't send it back in the next block. There's often 1 or 2 blocks in between. So it could take, up to 20 seconds, 30 seconds to return a random value once you've done that initial call for it. And when you have a game that takes let's say 5 seconds for the gameplay to play out,
Mm.
uh, you don't want to have 30 seconds worth of downtime between each 5 seconds of gameplay, right?
Right.
That's just not fun. And centralized platforms don't have that issue because they're not relying on a blockchain or some trusted third party to return the outcomes of their game. They're just essentially generating the outcomes on their own closed source backend, and they can generate any outcome they want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, with that lack of transparency, you have all kinds of funny business that goes on, right?
Exactly.
But with our model, we're the first to integrate a new indexing model that bundles VRF calls together. So essentially, we're making a VRF call with every block, and anybody that does a action between the last VRF call and the next VRF call that is returned gets bundled into the same VRF. So the cost of that VRF is socialized across everybody who participates in it. So we can service up to 7,000 uh, game outcomes in
Awesome.
one block from one VRF call, and that means we can service. We can so essentially from the time you place your wager to the time you get your outcome is only about 5 seconds, and uh, that cost of well, we've really made it super efficient. So
Cool.
it wasn't even if a single user had to pay for their own VRF call, it would only be a few cents. But the fact that we're bundling them all together, that few cents gets distributed across everybody that wagered on that VRF call. So it could be up to thousands of people, which means each user is paying a fraction of a cent in fees to play the game. And then 50 cents, $1, $5 wagers are now viable. And also, something like Plinko, for instance, it takes 5 to 7 seconds for the balls to bounce down.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the user is concerned, there's no downtime because we're able to create the outcomes of games every like 5 to 7 seconds. So the time it takes for us to generate the outcome of the game is less or the same time that it takes
Same
for
time.
the gameplay to play out.
Awesome.
So it feels just like you're playing on a centralized platform, but you have all of the benefits of a blockchain with that verified fairness and open source contracts and all of that. And with a platform like Stake or Roobet, they don't let anybody create referrals.
Right.
You need to apply, and when you apply, they could shut you down for any reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they think that you don't have a big following, they might shut you down. If they think that you have an opinion that they don't agree with, or they see that you're playing on other platforms, or whatever they want, it's completely centralized. It's arbitrary, whatever they want.
Yeah.
Uh, with our model, uh, and the thing with that is, it's that kind of model is the reason why they have to do that is because of the management it takes since it's not automated and it's not on chain. So, someone can apply and they have to go and look, all right, is this a big YouTuber? Is this a
Mm-hmm.
big Twitch star? If not, then they just get denied. But we know that there's way more ways to be an influencer outside of Twitch and YouTube.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you might not have a big Twitch following, you might not have a big YouTube following, but you might have 50,000 people in your Telegram group,
Right.
or you might be big on Discord. So our
That's for sure.
model, it does not gatekeep you for not being a big YouTuber or a big Twitch person. It only determines how much you should be earning from the referral system based on how much capital you're able to drive to the platform. And if you're not able to drive capital to the platform, that's fine. Like, none of us lose here. We're not paying you out any referral money, and you're not bringing anybody on. So it
Exactly.
is what it is. But if you can, no matter how you do it, you could be out on the street holding a sign. If you bring in capital, we're going to share some of that with you. So it's a much more fair model as well. So this is just the start, right? And we're starting with Piggy Plinko. Piggy Plinko is kind of our proof of concept, which we'll be able to point to and show the larger influencers
Yes.
that look, we have a working model, because there's people bringing them offers all the time. Like
Mm.
every day someone has an offer for them, and most of the offers, you know, almost all of them are people saying, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And the streamer, you know, you hear that all day. I hear that all day as well. I'm not a streamer, but I have people tell me all the time, hey, I'm going to build this, I want to raise capital for it. And my answer is always, okay, build it, and when it's built, come tell me. And like, it doesn't have to go live, but at least come bring me the contracts. I'll verify them. I'll make sure it all makes sense, and then we could talk about it. But you know, just words are not enough. And this is one of the reasons why we're going live with Piggy Plinko first,
Right.
so we can show a working model to these big influencers, and that's going to help onboard them. If not with Piggy Plinko, when we do the whole gaming platform, and they'll be there from day one because they've already been able to see and use our concept.
Yeah.
Now,
And do you
Piggy,
have? I just want to see if I could squeeze some alpha out of you. Do
yeah,
you
sure.
have any plans to make that rocket game that's on? I think it's on Roulette, where it's like you wager something, and then there's just a rocket going endlessly, and then it crashes eventually. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
I think it's called Crash. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So my we just brought on an advisor who did revenue optimization for all of these large online casinos. And we brought him on as an advisor because he's connected to a lot of the influencers, and he also knows what projects do the most volume, what projects do the best essentially on the platform.
Okay.
And he suggested that we definitely get that on.
Awesome.
So we have 7 games that are developed, and these 7 games are essentially ready to go. The one thing that needs to be done, well, it's multiple things, but the thing that needs to be done for them is the same optimization that we did for Piggy Plinko needs to be implemented into these games, because we built the core game concepts, all the logic, the game is there. It needs to be optimized the same way we optimized Piggy Plinko, which we kept this in mind when we built Piggy Plinko. So all of that optimization logic is kept on a separate, isolated contract that we can plug the other games into. So it's not a matter of it needs to be rebuilt. It's just a matter of we need to plug our game contracts into this optimizing contract, which handles the VRF calls and the bundling and all of that.
Okay.
We need to integrate the referral system in it, which again, same as the efficiency structure. We built that for Piggy Plinko to be plug and play, and then we need to build the UIs for them. So just essentially the website, the game that people interact with. So
That's
of
great.
these, yeah, so of these 7 games, they are essentially ready to go, and those will be the first ones to come out. But very shortly after that, we have 3 things that we're planning to go live with. One of them is the Crash game that you just mentioned, which will be relatively easy to implement because it uses a lot of the same mechanics as our current games. It's just a different user interface to interact with it, essentially. But the core of it is very similar to the other games. Of course, it's different. It's a different game, but just the logic behind it
Mm,
is somewhat similar. All of these games are somewhat similar when it comes to the logic.
got you.
Um, a peer to peer poker game. So Texas
Hey.
Hold'em. Yep, because we have a video poker game already developed, but we want players to be able to play against each other, tournament style and cash game style.
Nice.
And this I think is going to be massive because right now anybody that wants to play poker in this kind of game has to play with a third party closed source who are determining the outcomes of the games.
Mm.
And we know that these platforms have not only been exposed, like some of the other platforms I've talked about tonight, they've actually been shut down, and people have been arrested for fraud for running these platforms, such as Poker Stars, such as the one that the compliance officer for FTX.
Mm.
Some people may know this. The compliance officer for FTX was fired because he was the CTO of a major poker company that had back end functions that allowed specific players to play in God mode, where
Yeah.
they could see the other player's hand at the
Right.
table and could also bet fake money. So
That's
when you
crazy.
bet, yeah. And the thing is, the reason why they could bet fake money is because when you can see the other player's hand,
Yo.
like you're gonna win anyways. So
Yeah.
it allowed them to just basically rob their user base, and this has happened over and over and over again. And we know that there are professional poker players out there and non-professional, but there are people, that individuals that are wagering millions of dollars a day in poker, in these high stake poker games, professional poker players. And then there's also, you know, everybody across the world who likes to play online poker, who's doing their $10 buy-ins, their $100 buy-ins, and none of them have a platform that they can play on that's verifiably fair. So providing something like this essentially gives power to a whole industry and allows people to take their careers to the next level.
Yes.
So this is something that I am very passionate about doing, and it's something that we'll absolutely be doing. And then the third thing, which will probably be the last thing, is a sports book, but a sports book that operates like an exchange. Now, reason why I've been hesitant, because I've had people tell me to do a sports book for a long time, right?
Mm.
And the reason why I've been hesitant about sports books is because, as someone who's been tapped into this for a long time, and as I told you, I got into crypto in 2012 because I helped build a Bitcoin on ramp for a local sports book. So, I've known about sports books since high school, and I know that they're most unfair. They will essentially that are repeated. Reason for that is because the verse is always taking the other side of the bet. And when it's the house taking the other side of the bet, and they have all of the power and all of the control and what you can bet and what the odds are, and it's all closed source, and they can essentially do whatever they want on their platform, they start taking advantage of that and exploiting that across the board, and they start limiting what winning gamblers essentially can wager.
Mhm.
And if you're repeatedly getting an edge against the house in these sports books, they will almost never ban you from the book, because that, in a lot of people's eyes, gives them a bad reputation, right?
Right.
More so than if they just limit your ability to wager down to such a small amount that it's negligible for them. And essentially, they say, well, we have the right to take any amount of wager size we choose, and we see you as someone that is a risk, and we're limiting you down. And they do that not only if you're just a someone that is very good at breaking down the analytics of sports, but also, which is more often, you're taking advantage of arbitrage across books, and you're taking advantage of inefficiencies in sports books, because these sports books and odd makers are so dialed in that it really doesn't matter at this point how good you are at predicting the outcome of sports events. That's very, very hard, almost impossible to get an edge that way. But the way people are getting an edge in sports books are by having accounts set up on all the sports books, all the ones that they can get action on, and then using either automation or a team to be constantly monitoring the odds across all of the books and taking advantage of arbitrage and mistakes. So, for example, um, say they're not, they don't care if it's basketball, they don't care if it's tennis, they don't care if it's racing. Like they're watching everything, because they're looking for large odd changes on specific books, and the more sports and the more instances they're able to monitor, the more opportunity there is.
Right.
So if and it doesn't matter what sport it is, because they're not taking advantage of being an expert of that sport. They're taking advantage of arbitrage and inefficiencies. So they're looking, and say it's a horse race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone gets word that one of the horses is injured, right? So
Right.
now that insider hits up one of the sports books, because they're getting paid. They're an insider to help the sports book make odds.
Mm-hmm.
They hit up the sports book and say, "Hey, I just found out this horse is injured. They're a heavy favorite. You gotta lower that right now. Like they cannot be a heavy favorite. There's no way they're gonna win. They're injured. Lower them from plus 1,000 to plus 200, let's say."
Okay.
So that sports book changes the odds, and when they change their odds, there's a gap between when all the other sports books change the odds, right? So
Right.
that allows these people monitoring the book to then play both sides of the bet, where the they're taking the favorite that just got lowered from a plus 1,000 to a plus 2,000, and they're putting a bunch of money on that, and then they're taking the other side of the bet, which is sorry, a heavy favorite would be minus 1,000, but anyways, it still applies. It would go from negative 1,000 to negative 200. So they're taking that heavy favorite at negative 200, and then they're taking the other side of the bet, the heavy underdog, on another book that has not adjusted it yet. So that will be a plus 800, let's say. So they take that, and now it doesn't matter which horse wins the race, because they're going to make that spread between plus 800 and minus 200, right? So they're taking advantage of arbitrage like that and inefficiencies in the sports book. And now they place that bet, and right after they place that bet, that sports book that has that heavy underdog at plus 800 is going to get the word and say, "Oh no, it's plus 800. I just found out they're not a heavy underdog anymore. There has to be a reason why this other book just changed the odds so drastically. We better adjust our odds, but you've already placed that bet, right?"
Right. Right.
So now you have a bet where it doesn't matter who wins, you're going to make money. But if a sports book sees you doing this over and over again, they're going to say, "Okay, this person is a sharp," is what they call him. "This guy's sharp. He's doing arbitrage across books. We got to limit him." And they'll limit you. So,
Okay.
yeah. So really the only people that are making money right now in sports books are people that are running automated systems and running teams of people, often both teams and automated systems, teams running the automated systems. And they have they run companies where people can come and get paid, typically a weekly wager or a monthly wager, to set up accounts on these sports books to allow these sharp betting companies to bet under those people's accounts. So they have a steady flow of new accounts coming that are constantly getting limited, but they're constantly paying new people to set up accounts to be able to wager with them. And that's kind of the state of how you can make money in sports betting right now, which is not viable for 99.99% of people that just want to put $10 on a basketball game because it adds a little bit more excitement to the game and maybe they're going to it and it's a little fun wager for them, right? So
Right, right.
if you're not doing that, but you're running a sports book, you're going to have a major disadvantage to everybody else that's running a centralized sports book. Unless you're running a system where it's the participants wagering against each other, not with you. So this
Oh,
is
okay.
where the yeah, so this is where the idea of a sportsbook exchange comes,
Hmm.
where when the wager goes live, it goes live with whatever the current odds are on. Typically, you would use one of the major Vegas casinos, like a Pinnacle or like an MGM, right? You
Hmm.
would use their odds, and then the odds change based on the amount of capital on both sides of the bet using an automated market maker like Uniswap. And the more people that put capital, or I should say, the more capital, it doesn't matter how many people, the more capital comes in on one side of the wager, it adjusts the odds to incentivize more capital to come on the other side of the wager.
Hmm.
And ideally, you have about an equal amount of capital on both sides of the wager, and the host of it just takes a little bit from in between, right? Each
Yeah.
person to make a wager pays an extra 2% or 3% on top of what they want to wager, and that goes to the house. And then this way, it doesn't really matter if someone comes on and is constantly winning because you're not betting as the house against them. They're betting against other
Other.
participants,
Yep.
and you're not taking on that risk.
Hmm.
So the one thing that the reason why, and then because you're not taking on the risk, you can be a lot more fair with it, where you don't have to limit people, you don't have to be closing down people's accounts. You can just let the free and open market do what it does, and yeah, if people come on and they're constantly making wagers that are not winning, that might be because they're not as sharp as they think they are, and they can choose to stop wagering. But at the end of the day, they're the ones taking the other side of the bet, not us. So people can just do whatever they want with it. Really,
Yeah.
the downside is that there's no way on a blockchain to determine the outcome of games. The blockchain doesn't know who scored the most free throws in the in the Warriors game. So you need to have some oracle that's feeding you the game details, right? The
Hmm.
the data
The
from the
data.
games.
Yep.
And there's no decentralized way of doing that. So that's why I said that would come last, because I do think there are ways that are not uh not fully decentralized. All of the wagering, all of the there would be all of the custody, all of the wagering, all of the aspects of it would be DeFi except for the data feed that is telling the blockchain who won the games.
Okay.
And um, there is no good way of doing that now, but I have possible solutions that look like I probably shouldn't say what they are, but because I know there's other people trying to build these things right now,
Okay.
but it essentially looks like using multiple data sources, and so it is kind of decentralized because you're not using one source
One.
to tell you the outcome of games, right? You're
Yeah.
decentralizing that across many sources, and then the detail from there I can't really talk about because we want to have a competitive advantage when it comes to putting this thing out. But yeah, that's something I would eventually like to do because I've had people tell me for a long time they would like me to do something like that because it
Hmm.
could generate cash flow and people can earn on it. But I am not willing to create a system that is intrinsically unfair or is going to basically be impossible for the average user to come on and have a fair outcome to the games and potentially win a game. So uh, until we get to the point where it can be decentralized and made fair, I won't do it. But I do have the logic behind doing it in a fair way if we can figure out this Oracle idea, which I'm pretty sure I have a good solution for, but I'm not focusing on because there's so much more that's gonna come before that, basically.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to everything. I'm real bullish on Animal Farm, Drip, and every all the games. I'm bullish on everything. And then I want to say this for everybody out there. Forex, we love you and we appreciate you, man. So
Oh,
keep bringing that bullishness to the ecosystem, man, because we need you out here. It's crazy out here in the DeFi streets.
it is. Thank you. And the community is really what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for all of you. It's something that brings me a lot of joy. People know that I trade. I'm a trader. I make a significant amount of capital trading, way more than I make as a developer.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, I want to build things that actually provide value to people. I want to take products that people find fun and enjoyable and add a level of availability and transparency to them and fairness to them and really just bring value. And it's very hard to bring value as a individual trader, right? Like there are
Right.
some economic theory that traders bring essentially capital velocity and liquidity to markets, which is important, but that's a very abstract way to bring value. It's nothing compared to building a product that people actually use and get a lot of enjoyment and are able to manage their capital better and earn cash flow and feed their families. So it's something that I love. I love the problem solving aspects of it. I love the community aspects of it. So I have a handful of things that I want to build, and then from that point on, I think it's mostly just going to be focused on uh continuing to develop these ideas and continue to build out these ideas. And that to me looks like building out more lending options and evolving with the space when it comes to things like liquidity range optimization and peer-to-peer lending models and products like this for Animal Farm. It's gaming and not just gambling type games, but gambling type games have the largest user base by far, and right now, in my opinion, it has the biggest issues and the most need for someone to come in and essentially make it fair and make it an even playing field. So that's what I'm tackling first,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's super chats and
Oh
being
yeah.
it, yeah, and I think the super chats product and the gambling
Mm-hmm.
product go hand in
Hand in
hand,
hand, they
right?
do. They do. They
Y-
do.
Yeah. So those are really big. And then for drip, my goal is really to support the community and to support community developers and bring light to people that are building and developing things for drip and just keeping with the spirit of drip being a community project. Drip is something that has no fees associated with it. uh has I've never sold a single drip, so drip is something that I've never made a dime off of, and I likely will never make a dime off of. And I'm perfectly happy with that because it's been a community project from day one, and it's always going to be a community project. And right now, we have some community members that are working on various projects, and that's the vision that I see with Drip is first of all releasing the new UI, releasing the fiat on ramp, releasing the cross chain bridge,
Oh yeah.
releasing releasing drip drop draw,
Oh
the
yeah.
the improved team airdrop system, and then really just putting my focus when it comes to drip to supporting the community and supporting the community development that's going on. And from there, I don't see a need to really to really work on any other major new projects. I think we can keep doing capital raises in the DAO, right? For third party, we can uh, keep developing games for the gaming platform, and we can keep building sponsorships and partners and onboarding for the Super Chat project, and of course adding new lending and capital liquidity adding products for Animal Farm. And these four things is going to be my focus moving forward. Now with the gaming platform, I'm looking at doing potentially cross chain, but uh my right now I'm strongly to the point where I'm almost set on it. Going to be doing the gaming platform on Arbitrum, right?
Okay.
Because Arbitrum is um it's a new, extremely innovative chain that I see having a ton of success in the near future. It has transactions that are essentially instant and transactions that cost a fraction of a cent, but it's not doing this through centralization. So there's other chains that have been able to reduce cost and reduce block time, but that's through more centralization.
Mm.
So there's less need for party confirmation of the various nodes to essentially confirm the transaction. Uh, Arbitrum has been able to do it without adding more centralization, utilizing new innovation. Very in the same kind of lane as ZK Snarks. And on top of that, they have a protocol level VRF service, which means you don't need to rely on a protocol or a service like Chainlink to get the VRF callback. And that essentially any kind of inefficiency that will remain when it comes to the games that we have. Now, there's very little efficiency because of the indexing and the bundling and all that stuff that I already talked about today. Any kind of little bit of inefficiency that still remains will be completely gone with the adoption of Arbitrum. So
Okay.
the as I said, with our games on BSC right now, the wait time is around 4 to 7 seconds, something like that. But the gameplay is also around 5 to 10 seconds. So this is why I was saying, from a user perspective, there is no downtime because you place a wager, the Plinko ball drops, and by the time the Plinko ball lands in the bucket, you've got your outcome.
Right.
So from a user perspective, there is no downtime. But from a developer perspective and a backend perspective, there still is a few seconds of lag that we could get rid of with Arbitrum, right? So that could open the door to a lot more, and then also, Arbitrum has some utility to do protocol level privacy, and that will likely be necessary when it comes to the poker thing, because you need to be able to hide the outcome of in-game actions in a poker game until the poker game is over. You can't have people be able to look on chain and see what the cards are, right? So yeah, so Arbitrum, I believe, has a solution for that.
Okay.
So this is why we're looking there, and there's a whole lot more I can get into with that. But I want to get Piggy Plinko out. I want to get the Drip UI out, and I want to get the V3 out before we even get into all that, because I believe that is going to open up the door to one of the largest investment opportunities that I've ever provided, whether it's been a private raise, an in-house raise, a third-party raise. I believe that's going to be massive, but we're not in a position to talk about it until we've met all our other commitments. So I'm so bullish and excited to get that out, though, because I know how powerful it's going to be, and I know the potential there for the plans that I have. But not ready to talk about them yet.
Oh, it's all good, man. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the majority of the community is, excited. We're waiting for everything to start coming into fruition because I know it's going to be back to back to back to back. Starting from Drip Layer 2
Yep.
coming out in DDD, and we got Scratchies coming next, and I believe we also have the auto battling game, but it's going to be kind of separate.
Yeah. So, what's coming next is drip and the drip drop draw,
Hmm.
and then Pancake Swap or Animal Farm V3, which is our integration of Pancake Swap V3. It's very important that we get that out, for a lot of reasons.
Can you touch on Pancake Swap V3 and how it's gonna benefit Animal Farm investors?
Yeah, I really think it's going to be one of the most utilized and most bullish things on BSC because
Hey.
it allows users to optimize their participation in PancakeSwap, and PancakeSwap is, of course, the largest DEX on BSC.
Hmm.
So right now on PancakeSwap V3, if you want to add liquidity, you have to choose the range in which you're adding liquidity. And you could choose to have a wide open range, and that works just like V2. But in that case, you're not earning any fees and you're not earning any cake in the farm if you were to stake that NFT that you get when you add liquidity. So in V3, you don't get LP tokens anymore. You get an NFT when you add liquidity.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
this NFT represents how much assets you added to the liquidity pool and at which range you added that liquidity. And that's how both the liquidity pool and the pools, the PancakeSwap farms know how much yield to give you.
Okay.
Because the closer your range is to the price, the more of your liquidity will be utilized for swapping. And the more liquidity the more of your liquidity is utilized for swapping, the more fees that you're collecting, and the more yield that they'll pay in the farm because you're giving more value to the system.
Ah,
Now,
okay. Makes sense.
yeah. So if you were to go add liquidity, you could go and you could add liquidity a wide open range. This way, you know that you're always going to be providing some liquidity because even if the price goes all the way, even if the price of the tokens you're adding liquidity to goes all the way to zero, it's still within your range that you're allowing to give liquidity to, and no matter how high it goes, you're always providing some liquidity. But the issue is when you're providing liquidity over essentially an infinite range, the portion of liquidity that you're actually that's actually being utilized to provide swaps is so low that you're not actually collecting any fees and you're not going to make any yield in the farm. So now, let's say you say, okay, well, I don't like that. And the only reason someone would do that is if they if they had no clue what they were doing and they knew about a farm that they could stake a pancake swap NFT in, and it didn't matter at which range you were adding liquidity, they were still going to give you some yield. Let's just say there's a farm called, I don't know, my TV farm or whatever, just a random name,
Hmm.
and they say stake pancake swap liquidity NFTs in here, and we pay out, I don't know, some emission rate of our token. Then maybe you might say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here, trying to add liquidity. Um, I can't figure it out. Let me just add it at any range, wide open, and I'll go stake it in this farm and earn some yield, right?
Hmm.
But you wouldn't be earning any fees, and you wouldn't be earning anything if you were to take that NFT and stake it in PancakeSwap's farm. Now, which in any other platform, it wouldn't really matter that you're not earning fees in PancakeSwap farm because any other platform, you stake in their farm and it's only in their farm. With Animal Farm, we do something very unique where when you stake your liquidity token, and in this case, an NFT, because in V2 it's a liquidity token, in V3 it's an NFT. When you stake your NFT in our platform, we then stake it on your behalf in PancakeSwap's farm and earn yield in the form of cake. We then swap that cake for BUSD and pay that BUSD out to our governance pool, our AFP staking pool, which is called Pigpen.
Right.
So because we do that, it's very important that you're able to earn as much yield as possible in PancakeSwap. Even though you're not staking in PancakeSwap directly, when you stake in our farm, we're staking it in PancakeSwap on your behalf. Now, let's say that you want to add liquidity to PancakeSwap, and you're seeing, okay, if I add it in a wide open range, I'm not going to earn anything. Well, what happens if I add it at a 5% range of the current price? So you're saying, I want to add one token 5% away from the price, and I want to add the other token at a 5% distance from the price. And now you add liquidity like that. So an example of this would be, let's say there's a token worth $100. So it's, let's say it's cake BUSD pair, and cake's worth $100. You could say, okay, cake's worth $100. Let me add liquidity at $105 and $95. What that means is, whenever the price is between $95 and $105, your liquidity will be utilized for swaps.
Okay.
And because your liquidity is consolidated so close to the price, more of your liquidity is being utilized for swaps than someone that sets their range, say, at a 20% distance from the price, right? So if someone added the same amount of capital as you, and they set it at a 20% range, so at they say between when I say a 20% range, I mean 20% to the upside and 20% to the downside. So they say, okay, I want to set my range at 20%. So that same example, I'll add it. I'll set my range at 120 and at 80. And as long as the price is between 80 and 120, I'm going to be providing liquidity. Now, say that person added the same amount of liquidity as the person that added it with a range of 5%, so 105 and 95. The person who added that liquidity between 105 and 95 is going to be providing 4 times more liquidity within that range of 95 to 105. So they'll be earning 4 times more fees and 4 times more yield in PancakeSwap's farm. And that's providing the same amount of liquidity. And it's just because that liquidity that you're adding is way more consolidated and closer to the current price. So even though I'm adding, let's say, $1,000 worth of liquidity, and you're adding $1,000 worth of liquidity, well, my $1,000 worth of liquidity is all added and providing that liquidity within a 5% move from the current price, and yours is provided within a 20% move of the current price. So I have 4 times more liquidity within the current range providing liquidity. So I'm getting 4 times more fees, 4 times more yield. Now, the downside to that is if the price moves 6%, now it's outside of the range in which I've added the liquidity, and now I'm earning no fees and no yield. So you need to create a balance of being as close to the price as possible, but not so close that the price is going to move outside of your range, because once the price moves outside of your range, you're earning nothing. So the closer it is to range, the higher you're going to earn in both fees and yield, as long as it's within your range. But the second it goes outside of your range, you're going to earn nothing. So it's about finding a balance where you're not having to constantly update your range to keep the price within it, but you're as close to the range, or you're as close to the current price as possible. Now, as I was saying before, one of the first development I did was working with and building Python scripts that add liquidity on centralized markets through utilizing their API and setting limit orders. That's very similar to PancakeSwap's V3 model, where you're adding liquidity to both sides of the liquidity pool and having to manage this. So someone who doesn't have experience with this, they can add liquidity, of course, but they're not going to have as sophisticated as a management system as someone that knows what they're doing, that knows how to make a market. And also, most people are not going to be sitting at their laptop all day adjusting the range multiple times a day to make sure the price stays within their range.
Right.
But either you set it close so you can earn the most possible fees and the most possible yield, in which case you're going to have to constantly be adjusting it, or you set it with a wide range where you don't have to babysit it,
but you don't earn as much.
Yeah, but you don't earn as much. And then there's also someone could be just as close, but with a worse strategy. So they could be just as close, but the distance in which they're buying an asset could be the same as what they're selling the asset, but in a in a bearish market, you would want to have the buy side a little bit lower, right? So you're buying at a lower price and you're selling at a lower price, right? So it doesn't need to be equal on both sides, and this is where having a more sophisticated system and knowing about market making comes into play. So
Gotcha.
what we've developed with Animal Farm is both an algorithm and a suite of contracts that allow users to both add liquidity to PancakeSwap from Animal Farm, or take their current liquidity NFT and stake it in Animal Farm, at which point, if they're adding liquidity on Animal Farm, it then adds that liquidity and it does it into our NFT, which is managed, or they stake their liquidity NFT, at which point it's adjusted to be in the most optimal range, and then it uses a proprietary algorithm that I've developed that has backtested to be extremely optimized to keeping the price as close to, or keep the range as close to the price as possible, but wide enough that it doesn't have to be upgrading more than about every 6 hours, and because it does cost a little bit of money every time it needs to adjust. So you don't want to be adjusting every 30 seconds or 1 minute.
Right.
Although, if it costs nothing, maybe that could be maybe that could be advantageous to do that, although it probably wouldn't. But in a system where it costs money to adjust, you want it to be adjusting as infrequently as possible while having it as close to the price as possible without having the price go outside of your range, or go outside of your range as infrequently as possible. So our algorithm optimizes the range at which our users are providing liquidity and ensures that they're collecting the highest possible fees and earning the highest possible yield on PancakeSwap, which is then the fees that they're earning is compounded into their principal. So the fees are collected in whatever liquidity tokens they're providing. So if they're providing Bitcoin BUSD pair, they're earning those fees in both Bitcoin and BUSD.
Mm.
And with PancakeSwap V2, it was very ambiguous on how you were able to earn your liquidity provider fees. Often, um, the liquidity provider fees that you were earning were not even enough to offset fees and impermanent loss, and also they were not made available in the form of claiming them. They were just added to your LP token, and in a way that was extremely inefficient. And the reason why it was almost never enough to offset fees or impermanent loss is because in V2 you were providing liquidity across the full range. So
Oh, okay.
it wasn't optimized. So you
Right.
were earning basically nothing. With V3, the fees that you can earn are massive. So with even a low fee, high liquidity pair such as BNB BUSD, you can earn about a 55% APY just from the fees alone. So
Mm.
this means you're earning a 55% APY in BNB and BUSD, right?
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
very powerful.
Right.
But not just earning them, in our system, you earn them, but then it gets compounded into your principal multiple times a day. So that 55% APY turns into 55% APY compounded multiple times a day.
Mm.
And that ends up turning into thousands of percent APY at the end of the year because you're earning
Wow.
compound interest, which has an exponential growth curve.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, it's because the BNB and BUSD that you earn gets claimed multiple times a day and
Mm.
added to your to the liquidity you're providing. It gets staked into your principal. So you increase your share of the liquidity pool, which allows you to earn a little bit more fees, which are
Awesome.
then collected and staked into your principal again, which gives you a larger share of the liquidity pool, which allows you to collect a little more fees. And I'm calling it now, within maybe 6 months to a year, we're going to be making up a huge ratio of the liquidity on V3 because all of our users are going to be compounding larger positions into it. So
Mm.
not
That's
only
incredible.
are you earning compound interest in stable coins, Bitcoin, BNB, Cake, Wrapped ETH, you're also earning yields in the back end because those NFTs are being staked in PancakeSwap on your behalf in a completely non-custodial way, which means we can't access those NFTs ever. Uh, you're the only one that can deposit and withdraw that NFT from the pool. So we're doing it on your behalf, but we're doing it on your behalf utilizing an immutable smart contract that only you can access that NFT through, through utilizing your wallet, of course. So, uh, we're optimizing the range at which you're providing liquidity, which greatly increases the fees that you're collecting, but it also greatly increases the APY that you're earning at Cake. And right now, based on the ranges that are utilized in our range optimization tool, the fees that you can collect is about 55% APY compounded, which turns into thousands of percent APY by the end of the year, and also about 80% APY in Cake, which is swapped for BUSD and paid out to the pig pen. So you're heavily incentivized to utilize the reward token that you get because not only are you collecting those fees, you're also collecting our reward token, AFD, which you can utilize to increase your position in the farm by earning our governance token with
Mm.
it and
Right.
staking our governance token. And as a staker of our governance token, you earn all cash flows that are happening on the platform. So all taxes, all fees, all yield that's generated on the back end through the staking and pancake swap,
Mhm.
all that gets swapped for BUSD and paid out to our governance stakers, our AFP token stakers, as the owner of the platform. So we're the first decentralized ownership platform, which means you don't just own the token. As a staker of the token in the platform, of the AFP token in the Pigpen contract, in the Pigpen product, you are an owner of the platform itself,
Right.
not just a token. And there's nothing like that. And that means you earn all cash flows that the platform is earning. So because we're able to increase the APY and the yield that we're able to pay out by such a large factor from non-native assets, from the fees that are generated and the BUSD that's generated from the swapping of cake, we can reduce the emission rate of our tokens and still have a higher APY than we have on the current V2. So we're looking at reducing the inflation rate, meaning reducing the emissions of our native tokens by around 70%,
Wow.
but having the APY increase because those APYs are going to be mostly paid out in BNB, BUSD, a handful of other stable coins, wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped ETH, and Cake,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And the emissions, the yield of our native tokens is going to drop down by about 70%, which ensures that they perform as optimally as possible uh, from a price perspective. Because right now, they're pretty stable, right? And that is with the current inflation rate. If we drop the inflation rate by 70%, uh, with the current their current performance, so the amount of cash flow that goes into them, if we were to reduce the inflation rate by 70%, I mean they're gonna take off, right?
Mm, right.
So that's without the utility of V3. When you add the utility of V3, I mean I'm just like, I've never been more bullish
Yeah.
on this kind of project. And one more thing that's coming with V3 is um the an adjustment to our tax structure. So we have two tokens on Animal Farm. We have AFD, which is the reward token. That's the token that you get for staking non-native tokens. So anytime you stake an LP token that isn't AFD or an AFD pair or an AFP pair, you earn AFD.
Mhm.
Uh, the inflation rate, as I said, or the emissions of AFD are going to be reduced by about 70%. AFD is a reward token that has a unique vesting model. So rather than having a vesting model where the token is locked and you cannot transact it, which is like a traditional vesting model, which has negative externalities. And those negative externalities are mostly the fact that they have a vesting model like that has predictable unlock events where you know that okay these tokens are locked and they get unlocked once a month or once a week, and inevitably a lot of people end up getting their tokens unlocked at the same time
Mhm.
because the when a project launches you have a bunch of people go into it,
Right.
so you have that big pile of people that are all on kind of the same schedule when it comes to unlock events. And when you have a token where everybody knows, okay, this unlocks once a month, and there's all these people that have tokens that are going to unlock in a month, well, in 29 days, I'm going to sell before all of them get their tokens and the supply of the token increases, which will, cause a negative impact on the price.
Mhm.
So a traditional vesting model has these kind of negative effects where people try to front run the unlock events with sales, which then uh, by the people that get their tokens unlocked and then sell into it even more. So we set up a different kind of vesting model that doesn't have predictable events and instead has a variable tax. So when you get the AFD token, it has a 90% tax applied to it. What that means is if you were just to sell it as soon as you get it, 90% of that value gets swapped for BNB and BUSD. The BUSD goes to the governance staking pool, the AFP staking, and the BNB goes to the AFD staking pool, what we call our loyalty contract, or the dog pound. AFD stands for Animal Farm Dogs. So the dog pound is our loyalty contract where you stake your AFD, and while you're staked, the tax reduces by 0.75 to 1% a day, depending on your staking method. And as that tax is reducing every day, you're earning the BNB that is coming from people that are selling it with the tax applied to it. So it's a stick and carrot type incentive structure where you're being rewarded for keeping it staked and keeping it off the market. At the same time, you're losing value if you just swap it right away without having that tax reduced.
Right.
Now, we have a model that allows you to stake it and earn that BNB while your tax is reduced, and you earn about 0.75%, or I should say, sorry, your tax is reduced by about 0.75% a day. Or you can get into the auto compounding dog pound where your tax is reduced 25% faster at a rate of 1% a day, and the BNB that you're earning gets swapped for AFP, and that AFP, which is the governance token, is then staked to sorry, the BNB that you earn is buys AFD and then is staked in the AFD BNB farm to earn AFP, which is the governance token.
Right.
And in this way, as you're reducing your tax, you're also increasing your share ownership of the platform, because the AFP token is how you increase your share ownership of the platform and get access to that BUSD, which is coming from the taxes on the AFD token, which is coming from any other fees that are applied to, for example, we have a product called the Piggy Bank that has a fee attached to it, which goes to the pig pen. You know, it's another cash flow to the pig pen. The Piggy Plinko game will be a major cash flow to the pig pen. About 40, or I shouldn't say about, exactly 40% of all profit that Piggy Plinko earns gets swapped for BUSD and paid out to the pig pen.
Huge, man.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
all of the products on Animal Farm generate cash flows that have nothing to do with the inflation of our token. They're products and services that generate cash flows, and those cash flows go to the owner of Animal Farm, the owners of Animal Farm, who are the AFP token stakers. They're the governance token stakers. So this is why you want to utilize your AFD, which is earned in the platform, to earn more AFP and stake that AFP to increase your share ownership of the platform and collect all of those cash flows. Right. And this way, you never need to sell your AFD. Exactly. You never need to sell your AFP. You can collect cash flows in BNB and BUSD and just utilize your AFP and AFD as a vehicle to increase your ownership of the platform as a whole. And that's what the system is built for. And that's why our native tokens are performing so well, even though they're farm tokens, because they've been designed with a very strong incentive structure and a utility that allows you to utilize them as a vehicle to increase your ownership of the platform and collect cash flows in the form of BNB and BUSD. And as we add more products and services to the platform, it increases the amount of cash flows that are going to the AFP stakers in the pig pen. Now, the tax, since it's being reduced at a rate of 0.75 to 1% a day, every user needs to make up their own mind when it makes sense to sell it, if they ever want to sell it. So there's no one event where a whole bunch of people get their token unlocked and now they can just dump it on the market. Everybody needs to decide, hey, my tax right now is 20%. I could wait another 10 days and it would only be 10%, but the price is looking good right now. Maybe I want to take a 20% hit because the price is up 2x from when I bought it, and I'll still make a big profit. everybody needs to make up their own mind when it makes sense for them. So for that reason, there's never these predictable unlock events that cause the negative externalities of people front running them and dumping
Yeah.
them, causing that sell pressure. Now, with V3, we're coming out to an improvement to the dog pound, to this loyalty contract, which reduces the tax, and that is currently people can stake AFD. They can reduce their tax fully, which is all the way up to 96%. So they can reduce their tax all the way down to the point where they're only paying a 4% tax on the transaction.
Mm.
Uh, Now, when they stake it, when they withdraw it, they stake it, they reduce their tax. Now, when they withdraw it, they have a tax credit. That tax credit is associated with that stake. When they go to sell the token, they select that tax credit, and then they sell the token. And when they do, that tax credit is applied. So if they have a 96% tax credit, when they go to sell their AFD, they're only paying a 4% tax on it.
Right.
But and when I say 96%, I mean 96% of the 90% tax. So really, it's like a 80 it's like a 84% um reduction from the 90% tax. But
Oh.
anyways, it's they can reduce it down to the point where they're only paying 4% tax. Now, uh we're improving it by preventing people from staking AFD, reducing their tax all the way, withdrawing that AFD, and then starting a new stake with that same AFD, doubling up on tax credits on the same AFD, right?
Mm.
So people can do that in the new system, and what that does is it allows them to kind of build up additional tax credits and kind of create a buffer that allows them to add a little more sell pressure to the dog token than would be available to them if they were only allowed to create a tax credit for a stake of AFD and have that tax credit only apply to those AFD and not be able to withdraw and restake those same AFD. So with V3, we've developed a model where you stake your AFD token, you have the tax reduced on it. Now, when you go to withdraw those AFD, you don't get the AFD tokens back. You get an NFT. That NFT has the amount of AFD in that stake and the tax reduction. And now, when you want to utilize those dogs, you select that NFT, that autofills in whatever dashboard you want to utilize those dogs in. So if you want to stake those dogs, it's in the staking contract. If you want to sell those dogs, it's in the swapping contract. And you swap it from the NFT, utilizing the NFT. That way, you can't withdraw the dogs and then restake those same dogs because you never
Right.
get the dogs back. You get an NFT, which allows you to spend those dogs with the NFT. So that's another major improvement that will just harden the price of AFD. So we've essentially V2 has been out since November, and we've essentially added more utility. We've evolved with the times to adopt PancakeSwap V3, and we've tightened up all the little loose edges, which you really can't. They're really hard to figure out until you've been live for a little while and you kind of see how the ecosystem plays out. That allows you to kind of see, okay, where are some things we can kind of tighten up here, and that's one of them, and that's what we're doing with V3. Now, with V3, we're looking at. So first, we need to get out Drip. Drip's coming first. So next Thursday, we're going to be making a big announcement about Drip, and then Drip will be going live very shortly after that.
Awesome.
Then,
Let's go.
yeah, and then about a week after that, we plan on pushing the Dog Pound update because we don't want to have the full V3 with the range optimization and all of that go live at the same time the dog pound update goes live,
Okay.
because we don't want to have too much going on at once
Right.
and have people trying to come on to do the range optimization, uh, and have other people asking questions about their dog stakes and all of that. So we don't want, for example, new people coming on boarded and at the same time have people asking about their previous stakes in AFD and how that's getting evolved over and all of that. Uh, so we have a roadmap that looks like one about 1 week after Drip goes live, we push the update um, for the dog pound, and then about 2 weeks after that, we go live with the full V3 range optimization,
Sweet.
and in that 2 weeks, we just do heavy marketing with the launch date essentially.
Okay.
And then Piggy Plinko goes live. So that's what we're looking
Hey.
at right now. And you asked about an auto battler game for Drip. That is not something that we're doing. As I said, with Drip, we're pushing the new UI. We're pushing all of the major improvements and the fiat on rip and all of that. And then our focus with Drip will mainly be some supporting community developers and community support of the ecosystem. And the auto battler game. Uh, so last I talked with that developer, I talked about issues with scaling and some little things like that. Um, One of the reasons we didn't decide to kind of onboard it as it being something on our platform is because, for one, there's issues with scaling where only like hundreds of people can use it at once, where
Okay.
Drip has hundreds of thousands of users, and we just can't launch a system where we have hundreds of thousands of users, but then it stops working after 500 people get involved with it. So
Hmm.
there's that. Um, and then also, when we were kind of working together, I came up with an economic model that was very strong for Drip. So a portion of all BTC that is used to wager in the games went back to buying back Drip,
Mm.
and then characters were sold in Drip, and those characters, the
Okay.
drip that was utilized to buy those characters, went to the tax vault, and then there were potions that could be used for those characters, and that drip also went to the tax vault.
Mm.
And all costs, such as VRF costs, um, development costs, all of that was being taken out of the BTC, right?
Okay.
So, so it was a economic model that really benefited Drip. Benefited the Drip ecosystem, and the only reason we didn't move on it and completely adopt it is because of the scaling issues. Because only like a few hundred people, up to like 1,000 people, could play it at once. Not play it at once, but even be participants. Meaning, even if they weren't all playing at the same time, it couldn't handle more than like 500 to 1,000 people to even be involved in it, right? So,
Right.
so there was that, and but I told him, look, if we can figure out the scaling issue, which I had a solution for the scaling issue, but he didn't want to move on it because it would take a couple extra months to build that, and uh, and he wanted to get it out right then. But then it ended up taking a few months anyways, so it should have been done. But anyways, uh, then he tells me it's going live, and I know he's going around to Drip community people and Drip influencers and kind of trying to build hype on it and saying that I endorsed it and all of that. But I should make it clear that the economic model that I endorse is not the economic model that he's currently about to launch.
Mm.
And I've put a little pressure on him about that, and he has made some adjustments. But the economic model that he was going to launch, which he was promoting with some drip influencers, was the opposite of what I helped develop with him, where
Okay.
drip that was spent in the game was swapped for Bitcoin. and then Bitcoin was utilized in the game, and it's like, okay, so the main utilization is selling drip. Like, no, we can't do that.
Right. We can't
Like,
do that
I can't ride with that at all.
at all.
And I'm gonna make that very clear. And since then, he's gotten rid of the mechanic that sells drip for Bitcoin. But the last I heard, um, the well, the Bitcoin utilizing the system is no longer buying back drip, which was a major reason why I wanted to do it because it actually creates a cash flow, a positive cash flow for drip, right? Where
Right.
now, uh, it's not, and in fact, still, although it's not swapping drip for Bitcoin anymore, he's still paying all of the dev costs and all of that stuff with drip, right?
Yeah.
And instead of the Bitcoin,
Right.
when
And
the
essentially, you will have to sell the drip when you're paying the dev cost, right?
yeah, so basically, when you pay for items in game, when you pay for your drip character, all of that, that drip is going to be sold by him
Mm-hmm.
to essentially pay himself, right?
Oh, right, right, right.
That's what dev costs really mean at the end of the day. If you have a responsible team, they pay developers, but in this case, he is the developer. So, like, but but really, in my opinion, if you're going to be riding off of drip as like your main source of attention, because he already uh he already developed something like this and put it on Matic, in the Matic testnet and all of that, and didn't get any attention. But then he started kind of shilling at drip people, and now starting to get some attention.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed to hold him to the fire and say, if this isn't driving cash flow into drip and sending drip to the tax vault, but most importantly, driving capital into drip and not utilizing drip to pay for costs, we're not going to play it.
Right.
If it's driving cash flow into drip and taking the drip that is being utilized in game and sending it to the tax vault, then we're all for it. I'd be promoting it right now instead of, telling the community, guys, like, even though it has a scaling issue, still, if, like, I can't put it on our site with the scaling issue, but if he wants to run it and have 500, 1,000 users, as long as it's helping drip and buying back drip and selling drip to the tax vault, I'm cool with it. But if he's gonna be selling drip to profit for himself and use the drip community just for attention and for a source of cash flow for him, yeah, we're not down with that. So I would just
Okay.
tell the community, you have the power here, right? You're the one that decides whether you play, and ensure that if you're going to play this game, the dev fees and all associated game costs is coming out of the Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin is what the wagers are being placed in. The Bitcoin is the main token that's being utilized in the system. There's no reason to sell the drip, which
Yeah.
is just part of to buy characters and to buy an in-game item. The main token that's being utilized in the game is Bitcoin, and the only reason why he's choosing drip to be the thing that sells is because he wants to take advantage of drip for attention, but then swap it into Bitcoin for himself and basically use the drip community as a piggy bank. So
Oh
just
no.
well. And swapping it into Bitcoin to the primary for game it's doing, right? We're not for that, but they already what he told me is that he got rid of the mechanic that is going to be swapping drip for Bitcoin at least,
Okay.
but there still is what he said is uh half or about half of the drip that's utilized in the game is paying for associated dev costs in the game, and the other half will go to the tax vault. And there's nothing buying back drip. We're not going for that, right?
Right.
So what we need is the Bitcoin, or at least a portion of the Bitcoin that's utilized in the game, is buying back drip and sending it to the tax vault, and all drip spent in the game goes to the tax vault.
Okay.
Any capital that's going to dev fees or any associated costs is coming out of the Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wants the drip community on board and he wants to get attention from the drip community and get us to be promoting it and being happy about it and supporting it, that's what needs to happen.
Right.
Because otherwise, you're just taking advantage of the drip community, and and we're not for that. But I should just say he's one of many people that are developing stuff for drip, and um, you guys have the power, right? Like, trust me, if the drip community are not happy with the economic system, he will change it.
Mm-hmm.
So so just make sure that it's set up right before you decide to play it, because you're the one that decides whether you play it or not.
True.
Um,
True.
yeah. Apart from that, drip drop draw is going to be huge. Uh, there's another person that I know that's building a game for drip that is very very close to being developed, and when that comes out, we'll be promoting it. And
Awesome.
of course, we got everything else going on, which drives attention to the ecosystem, which then brings attention to drip. But uh, drip drop draw and the whole new UI and the improved model, all of that,
Bullish.
is something that's is very very big for drip. And then of course we'll continue to support it through community things. And yeah, those are our three things: PancakeSwap V3, drip, and Piggy Plinko, that are those are the next big three commitments. And I am working on several other things, but to ensure that these things are delivered first and delivered seamlessly, I took our best three dev teams. Uh, Two of them were working on other things. One of them was working on the Super Chat project. The other one was working on the Reap DAO. I pulled them off those projects to put their full-time attention onto V3, onto Drip, onto Piggy Plinko, so we can get those out as fast as possible. And then as soon as those are out, those devs will go back to wrapping up the Reap DAO, the Super Chat product, and then the full gaming platform. Which I would say the two that well, I mean, I'm very excited about all of these things, but
Yeah, me
I would,
too.
yeah, actually, I can't even. If I didn't, if I'm equally bullish, I would say, about them for different reasons. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be doing them.
Right.
But I think that they're bullish for different reasons. So the Animal Farm V3 is super super bullish because it services the largest decks in the space
Mm-hmm.
and allows users to optimize their utilization of that project and earn massive cash flows from all of these different sources. And there's nothing like it in DeFi. And being able to reduce the emission rate and add this new utility makes me very, very excited and bullish about it.
Mm-hmm.
Piggy Plinko is our first concept release for a game and is the first step towards the full gaming platform. And it also has a utility that drives cash flow into AFP and AFD. So it has a dog mode where you get a 10% bonus on all prizes. And if you play in dog mode, it takes the BNB or BUSD that you're wagering, it swaps it for AFD, and it pays you out in AFD token. So
Okay.
essentially, for agreeing to take your prize in AFD, which is buying the AFD with whatever you've won in BNB and BUSD. So whatever prizes that are allocated to you in BNB or BUSD get swapped. So it buys AFD and it pays you out of that. And for agreeing to do that, you get a 10% bonus on your prizes, right?
Awesome.
So that's driving cash flow into AFD and incentivizing people into AFD. And that's going to incentivize people from outside of the community that just want to come on to play a game because they see their favorite streamer or influencer playing the game,
Mm-hmm.
and they come on and they see, hey, I can get a 10% bonus if I take my prize money in AFD. And then they do that, and next thing you know, they're onboarded into Animal Farm. So there's that. And then 40% of all the profit the game generates gets injected as BUSD into the pig pen as well for the AFP stakers, the owners of Animal Farm. So that's very, very bullish, right? So
Right.
all these things make me very bullish for Animal Farm. And then the gaming platform, I mean, that's a no-brainer why that's bullish. It's the first fully open source, uh, verifiably fair gambling platform that
Mm-hmm.
has all of the highest volume games that Stake and Roulette have with verifiable odds and the same quality of gameplay,
Mm-hmm.
but in a way that is actually fair and that we can utilize to drive huge cash flow into the ecosystem
Yep.
and also drive a ton of attention into the ecosystem through influencers and partnerships and the
Bullish.
very aggressive referral system, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And because our gaming platform is going to have a referral system that is as strong as Drips with the downlines,
Mm.
but 100% of the profit that's generated is coming from profit that the platform earns and cash flow the platform that earns. Zero of it's coming through inflation. So it has all of the benefits of Drip through the aggressive referral system, but is an even stronger utility, right? So
Right.
it's like, in my opinion, it has the potential, and I believe it will be the most bullish thing I've ever launched.
Let's go.
And then the Super Chat project is the first ever peer-to-peer, uncensorable Super Chat product that allows users and non-custodial, right? So it allows viewers to donate crypto
Mm.
to their favorite streamer. It goes directly to the streamer's wallet, so they don't have to rely on some platform that could demonetize them, take their money, steal their money. I know a streamer who used Vimeo, right? Vimeo's a streaming service that's kind of gone out of style,
Yeah.
but it was like a little bit popular in like 2019. He had $5,000 stolen from Vimeo because Vimeo did a thing where they released the streamer's funds every 30 days, and he got demonetized, and they just stole his
Oh my
$5,000.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah, and YouTube and Twitch have done this as well,
Yep.
where if you have funds that they owe you and you get demonetized, whatever you've earned in the month that you get demonetized on, you just don't get that money, and
Yes,
they just
that is
steal it.
true. That is true.
Yeah, and in our model, it's peer to peer. It goes right to your wallet the second it gets donated. So you don't have to worry about anybody taking your money. You don't have to worry about anybody demonetizing you. You don't have to worry about your chats getting censored. What you can do is you choose the asset, the token essentially that you want to accept donations in,
Mm.
and you choose the donation size, the minimal donation that it takes to trigger super chat. So the donation has to be over a threshold that you decide to trigger the super chat, and uh, and that's it, right? You connect your wallet to create the account. You choose the threshold and the token that you want to accept the donations in.
Mm.
We're allowing the streamers to accept donations on BSC and in Arbitrum because we need to make it fast and cheap. But
Yeah.
those are the two chains.
Okay.
And the person who's doing the super chat, who's donating, they use the streamer's link. So instead of a streamer having to have 10 different addresses, one for Bitcoin, one for Litecoin, one for ETH, one for BSC, they just have one address, right? And it's their Arbitrum or BSC address.
Mm.
And that, since they're both EVM, it can be the same address, right?
Okay.
And but they only have to choose one anyways. And they just have to share their link to our platform. When the donator wants to do a super chat or a donation, they click the streamer's link. It takes them to the streamer's page on our platform where they can watch the stream on that platform if they want, because we allow the streamer to embed their video on our platform. They choose the amount they want to donate, and then they can choose either a credit or debit option, or they can choose a crypto option. If they choose a crypto option, they choose the token or the coin that they want to donate, the chain that they want to donate it from, and the amount that they want to donate.
Mm. Nice.
We're supporting all EVM chains because we're utilizing an API that already supports cross-chain bridging for all of the major EVM chains,
Mm-hmm.
and we're using Komodo, which is a ZK Snarks chain that allows for atomic swap trustless bridging between non-EVM chains. And we're supporting the top 7 non-EVM chains. So that's like Bitcoin, Doge, Litecoin, XRP, um, let me think. A few other, right? There's a few extra there. We're supporting the top 7. And what happens is when they make that donation, they choose what they want to super chat, the amount that they want to super chat,
Mm.
the token that they're donating, and the chain that they're donating from. It then automatically bridges to the chain of the streamer, swaps to the streamer's preferred asset using our broker contract, and if it meets their threshold, so the amount that they picked is the minimal amount they want to trigger super chat, when it goes from our broker contract to their wallet, which happens trustlessly and automatically, it triggers an event which is read by our API, and that launches the super chat. And all the streamer has to do is embed our webhook source into their OBS or into our Streamlabs, and whenever a super chat is made, it shows up in their OBS or in their Streamlabs as a source, so it shows up right on their stream.
And
So it
Forrest,
doesn't.
let me
Yeah,
get this straight. Is it possible to, let's just say the streamer wants Ethereum or is requesting donations in Ethereum, but you want to use BNB to swap? Is that possible? Like right on
yeah.
the Oh, that's awesome, man.
That's the point of setting it up in a way, because we don't want it to be in a system where the streamer has 6 different wallets and you have to either be on the chain that he's accepting donations in, or have to figure out which wallet of
Yeah.
his you need to send it to, because
Right.
that's the issue. That's
That's the
the issue
issue. Yeah.
with modern day crypto donations, and also none. You can never trigger a super chat with those either. You're just sending it to their wallet.
Right.
But with this model, yes, the streamer chooses they choose the asset that they want to collect the donation in,
Mm.
and they choose to collect it in either BSC or Arbitrum, and the minimum amount of that asset that will trigger a super chat.
Mm.
And then the donator clicks their link, that goes to the streamer's dashboard where they can watch the streamer stream in there. They have a little section where they can put in what they want to super chat, the amount of money that they want to super chat for credit or debit,
Mm.
or for a crypto donation. They choose the chain that they want to donate from, the token that they want to donate, and the amount that they want to donate.
Ah, that's
And
crazy. Okay.
yeah, and we're using something, we're using an API that will limit the tokens that they can donate to tokens that have over $100,000 worth of liquidity
Mm.
on the major DEX for that chain. So it supports all of the major EVM chains and the top DEX on that chain, and it gives you in their dashboard a selection of all the tokens that have over $100,000 worth of liquidity on that DEX on that chain.
Mm.
So it's really any token that has any value you can donate, and it automatically bridges to either BSC or Arbitrum, whatever chain the streamer chose, and then swaps into their preferred asset. So
Awesome.
if I want to donate BNB, or I want to donate Cake, or I want to donate Sonic Obama Inu, and the streamer wants to only collect USDC, right? What will happen is I donate my my Pepe token. That token gets bridged over to BSC or Arbitrum.
Mm.
If that token is not on BSC or Arbitrum, what happens is it gets swapped for USDC. The USDC gets swapped over to BSC or Arbitrum. It is then swapped for the preferred asset of the streamer, and then sent directly to the streamer's wallet. And if it's above the amount that streamer chose as their minimum threshold of that token, then it triggers the super chat. And it doesn't matter if the streamer is streaming on YouTube or Twitch or Odyssey or Rumble or any of the other streaming platforms because it's tied into their OBS. They could be streaming on Discord or Telegram because it's on the OBS,
Right.
so it shows up right in their video feed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just easy and simple. And another very cool thing about it is YouTube charges 30% fee on their super chats. Twitch charges 50% fee on their super chats, and they recently said that they're going up on that fee. We're going to be able to charge only 15% on our credit and debit super chats. So that's half of what YouTube's charging, and only like 30% of what Twitch is charging. And we'll be able to charge even less for our crypto donations because we're not having to rely on a payment processor.
At that point, there's like no upside to even using YouTube or any other processor just for the fee alone. The fee being less with us, there's like no incentive for people to choose YouTube and pay a 30% fee or whatever it is when you could make a transaction with us and pay 15%, and there's a conversion that will pay out the streamer in their preferred cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah, and it's something that not only people that have been demonetized and people that are tech savvy and understand that they can save a lot of money with it, but also all these crypto influencers and crypto streamers. Imagine how much more donations you'll get when you can get super chats in crypto, right?
Exactly.
Because especially if you're a streamer, an influencer that is like dedicated to a specific project, because often these projects, these tokens don't have any utility. Like 90% of tokens out there don't have any utility. This gives them a utility. You can use them for super chats for your favorite influencer in that community. And one cool thing about that is we can partner with these projects and potentially give fee reductions for streamers choosing partner tokens as their preferred asset. And what that does is it incentivizes streamers for choosing our partner's token as their preferred asset because they get a slightly less fee applied to the transaction, which means they get a little bit more crypto. And also, it rewards the partner because now more people are buying into their token because every time that streamer gets a donation, it's being swapped into their token.
Yeah.
So the way that will look is we'll partner with projects and we'll say, look, for $50,000, we can make you a preferred partner on our platform, and for doing this, we can reduce fees by, let's say, 3%, and we can pay for that fee reduction with the what we charge the partner, and the partner makes that back and then some, because now a bunch of streamers say, hey, I can use this token and pay 3% less on every donation that I get. So now all these people are swapping into that partner's token instead of, some USDC or USDT or some random token. We could also potentially do it in a way where they're not handing over a fee, which would be just like if you so if someone was to get a fiat on-ramp, for example, you have to pay either the exchange or the bank who provides that fiat on-ramp service anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 for that.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's a similar kind of fee, right? We're providing a processing service for you, and there's a cost associated with that. But on our side, we can give a benefit for people that onboard by doing a fee reduction. Or it could also look like you could provide some of your tokens, a partner could provide some of their token supply, and the incentive for the streamer would be choose this partner token as your preferred asset, and For doing that, you can earn some yield in the partner token, which is paid out through a portion of the supply that the partner allocates to users of our platform that choose their token as their preferred asset. So there's multiple angles that we go with partnerships, and then also for really big projects that can do like a heavy co-promotion for us. There's a possibility that the co-promotion alone is worth having a partnership with them and potential fee reduction. And then also YouTubers and big influencers. We could potentially have partnerships with them where we have a slightly reduced fee if they start utilizing our service and start getting donations. But obviously, these crypto influencers are going to want to do it regardless because imagine if BitBoy was able to have donations come in from crypto super chats. He would be making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a day in crypto donations.
Oh yeah.
So clearly he would, and these are the kind of projects that these big influencers want to have as sponsors and partners because there's a risk associated with bringing on a partner that is associated with its own speculative token, right? Because there's so many scams out there's so many pump and dumps. They don't want to make a project with a token their partner and then have it, get rugged or something. But something like this is not associated with the specific token. It's a utility that allows you to utilize tokens. And this is the kind of non-speculative type of project that big influencers like to onboard because it's very low risk, right? They're not going to use it and then it ends up rugging or something because it's not even possible to rug, right? It's non-custodial donations right to the streamer's wallet. So, and this goes hand in hand with the gaming platform as well, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, very, very exciting times ahead. And right now, we have 3 very, very strong dev teams, and we're always looking to bring on more devs. We were building like 7 different major products at once, and we had like 3 very strong dev teams, and then like 2, I would say, mediocre dev teams, and a couple. Well, actually, last week, we kind of realized that look, we're trying to do a little bit too much at once. We're kind of stretching our resources here. We have 3 very, very strong dev teams. We need to cut the fat. We need to just tell these 2 other dev teams that, look, it was great working with you, but we just really need to tighten up. We got rid of those 2 dev teams. Nothing negative happened, but it was just you only have so much time in the day, and we were spending too much time trying to handhold these mediocre dev teams when we have 3 other dev teams that are just kicking ass.
Right.
And we decided we're going to basically split ways with those 2 other dev teams, take our 3 strongest dev teams, put them on the 3 highest priority things, which right now is PancakeSwap V3 migration and Animal Farm V3, which is one thing, Piggy Plinko, and the drip push, and that's why we're going to have a big update about drip next week. The week after that, we should be pushing the big update to Dog Pound, and then likely 2 weeks after that, 1 to 2 weeks after that, V3 migration, the full Animal Farm V3 migration, and then by that time, Piggy Plinko will be completely ready to go as well. Right. So we're about to just do a major rollout, and
then we'll have Scratchies after Piggy Plinko.
We need to do a capital raise for Scratchy.
Got you.
So,
okay.
For Scratchy to go live, Scratchy is developed. The developers that we built Scratchy with are the same developers that we've built Animal Farm V2 and are building Animal Farm V3. Gotcha. And because Animal Farm V3 is something that we need to take advantage of right now because PancakeSwap has already moved to V3, that is the priority. Awesome. So they're focused on that. As soon as they're done focused on that, we're just in the testing phase of Scratchy. It's already developed. We're in this. We're gonna get an audit for it. We're gonna wrap up testing for it. But we need to do a capital raise for it, and we want to do the capital raise in the DAO.
In the
And
DAO.
we want to have a. We want to open up the tier 2 of the DAO and the NFT credential model before we do this raise.
Perfect.
So, the developers, one of our very strong dev teams is working on the Reap DAO right now. We were going to take them and move them to Animal Farm V3, but we were able to work out a very aggressive development outline and payment structure essentially with our current Animal Farm devs. And since they know Animal Farm better than anybody, we decided to stick it out with them, which is the right move. And that's great as well because Reap DAO can continue to be worked on, and that will be done by June, and that will allow us to do the third party raise. Will probably be the first thing to do the capital raise in the DAO, and Scratchy will likely be end of June. Somewhere around there, right?
Awesome.
Give or take a couple weeks. So it's going to be one thing after the other, back to back to back.
Yeah, man.
So, and it's because we've had 4 different dev teams working on 7 different projects for months now, and now we're at the point where they're all getting wrapped up around the same time, and it's it's beautiful. And then once these core things go out, which is Piggy Plinko, Animal Farm V3. I keep on saying PancakeSwap V3 because we're doing the Animal Farm V3 to integrate it into PancakeSwap V3 and to do the range optimization for PancakeSwap V3. So I keep wanting to say PKS V3, but it's Animal Farm V3, right. and the raised DAO. So we have and the Reap DAO to do the raise. So we have so much going on right now that I'm excited about, and we're in a better spot than ever now. With just to be a little bit transparent, the developers that we were working with in the past had a purely equity-based payment model, and what that means is they got paid based on a percentage of everything the platform earned, and that's good because it incentivizes, it aligns incentives, right? And it incentivizes that they continue to help build and maintain the project after it goes live. Because if they don't maintain it, it's going to hurt their ability to earn. But there is downsides to it as well. And those downsides are they're going to earn that percentage if you've baked it into an immutable contract, whether they deliver to their full potential or not. And if you don't have developers that are entrepreneurial and are self-motivating, they might look at it as kind of like, this is passive income that I'm earning, and I can go maybe work on something else, or I can just not work and earn my little percentage every month.
I see.
So we completely restructured our payment process last week, and this is why I was saying last week we made some pretty big changes. We not only cut 2 dev teams last week, we also restructured the whole way we're paying devs to now be 100% based on hitting development goals. So they are getting essentially a budget tied to each development goal, and they have to reach that development goal by a specific date to make that fee. And if they're early on the deadline, they get a 10% bonus, and if they're late on the deadline, they get a 20% penalty. So now, if they're not delivering, they're not getting paid anything. Right. And if they deliver late, there's a major penalty there. And if they deliver early, there's a little bit of a bonus there. So now we've completely realigned our incentive structure for developers. We've cut out the 2 dev teams that I see as not being. I mean, they're good. Like, trust me, the devs that we have, even are like less competent devs, are some of the best devs in the space. But we are innovating, and we're building to our full potential, super efficient. And if a dev team is not giving it their all, I don't want anything to do with them. So we kind of cut our our, uh, our loose ends. We cut the two dev teams that were just not delivering to the degree that we want. We kept our three best devs. We restructured the whole payment system that is now based on meeting deadlines and meeting development goals to make any money at all. And this is why in my opinion, we were able to maintain the developers that are working on Animal Farm because we were able to kind of restructure their incentive model and shape them up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's already paying off well. So, and this is what we're gonna do moving forward. And part of that was, just us improving and just getting well, first of all, I hired a project manager about 8 months ago, and it's just been steady improvement since I've brought him on. Month after month, we're getting a little bit better, running our ship a little bit tighter. And then 3 weeks ago, I hired a an advisor, as I said, that has done revenue optimization for all of these big online casinos. He's tied into the space, and he's been able to give a lot of insight on this kind of management as well. So yeah, we're just making big strides now, and it feels good. It feels real good to be in the state that we're in right now. It's just exciting.
It does. It is, man. I'm super excited. I can't wait for everything to start rolling out. Like you said, it's going to be back to back to back. So all
Yep.
you guys out there that have been, waiting patiently, you're definitely going to reap the benefits coming very soon.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's the best is yet to come. I strongly believe that we have some very big plans. When I started building in DeFi, it was kind of like I think that I can solve problems in DeFi. I think I can do what's being currently done better. So
Mm,
I took the token model before really any kind of like strong ecosystems were built or really strong smart contract projects when it was mostly just tokens, and I built Reap, and Reap was the first deflationary reflective reward token, which is very strong mechanics for a token,
mm,
and it thrived. It did very well, and it's still thriving because we built a utility for it, which is the DAO. And then I built B Reap, which is essentially Reap on Binance Smart Chain to allow it to be more fast, more efficient. And then I gave it utility in the Drip ecosystem, right?
right.
But with Drip, it was I see all of my friends getting into these daily ROI platforms and getting rugged, and they're not lasting a week,
Mm,
and they're just they have so much demand, everybody loves them, but none of them are lasting more than a week or two. I think I can do it in a better way that will last longer, that will be more stable, and will be more fair. And I'm not even gonna take a dime on it. I'm just gonna float it out there and see how it does.
mm,
And it did very well,
yep.
but it was me looking at what has demand and let me try to do it better. Whereas now I'm more experienced. I have a better team around me, and I have a sharper focus. And now it's about how can we solve problems and create very strong utility, and not just how can we build things with high demand in a better way, but
Mm,
how can we solve real world problems with blockchain technology. And that's why we're going after super chats. That's why we're going after gaming. That's why we have Animal Farm to really tackle lending in a very strong way. And there's another project that I'm working on as well, which I don't need to get into, but it because it you know it's in the development process, but I don't want to keep I could keep talking about all the things we're doing. I want to kind of keep it a little bit tight, but
yeah.
essentially it's a project that allows crypto projects or essentially any project to run a social media campaign where it provides real value to the project because there's things like Gleam where you can run a social media campaign where you have tasks where people can sign up for the campaign and do tasks like follow this Twitter account, like this tweet, subscribe to this, do that, and for each one they do, they get a point, and then at the end of some period of time, there's a raffle where one of those points is associated with the prize, and that person wins.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you do acts like a ticket in a raffle, and then you win.
Right.
The problem with that is people with fake social media accounts can go create a bunch of fake engagement, make a bunch of points. It doesn't really result in any benefit. There's no added value to your platform, and then these people end up winning because they hog up all the tickets because they got 1,000 social media bots out there that are just doing all the actions. And Gleam, when they host a campaign, they host it on their website. So these people don't even have to go to your website. They just go right to the Gleam website, see the contest, do a bunch of fake engagement on it,
Right.
make 1,000 tickets. They win a prize or they don't win a prize, but they have a much greater chance of winning a prize than someone that's actually part of the community that has one Twitter account and is like actually getting engaged and liking and following and commenting. So it brings almost no value. So I built a product where, in order to get into the raffle, you need to contribute some capital. So some BUSD is most likely what we're going to do, or USDT, to buy a raffle ticket. And then once you have a raffle ticket, you can increase your chance of that ticket winning by doing those actions, by
Okay.
liking, following, etc.
Mm.
And then when the contest is over, that USDT buys the project token of whoever is hosting the raffle, and then that project token is used as the prize. So this way, even if people were to come and create a bunch of fake engagement, they're still paying for every ticket.
Yeah.
And the funds that go to paying for that ticket buy the token of the project that's hosting the raffle. So at the bare minimum, they're driving capital, they're driving buys, they're driving cash flow into your token. So no matter what, they're providing a value to your ecosystem. And it kind of does cut down in that fake engagement, because when you associate a cost with it, they're not going to have 1,000 fake accounts go on there and buy a ticket for each fake account. It's some will still do that, I'm sure, but if they do that, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they're still buying the tickets. Yeah, and also a little bit of fake engagement never hurts if your numbers are a little boosted a little bit on the social media. It's you just don't want primarily fake engagement. You want as little fake engagement as you can get. But whatever. If you get a little extra 10%, 20% more likes due to fake engagement, it's not going to hurt anything, especially if it involves them buying a ticket, and that ticket goes to purchasing your token. So this is another product that I'm developing, that I took my developers off of that to actually work on the core three things that that I mentioned: Drip, V3, and Piggy Plinko. But they're going right back to that social media raffle project as well. And that's not going to be a project. Yeah, I built that project because I was sick of running those Gleam contests on Animal Farm and having it like 300,000 people participate, but have like barely any effect on the project.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, I need to just build something that allows us to run these social media contests in a way that the engagement's real and it creates real value for the platform. So I built it for us, but I built it in a way where it doesn't just service us. It has its own platform, its own site, and any project can go on there. Essentially what they do is they choose the token they want to buy back by placing the token address, the chain that they want to host it on, and the amount of time they want it to run for, and the actions that they want the user to take, like what Twitter account they want to follow, what they want for likes, YouTube, all of that. So we're utilizing the Twitter API, the YouTube API, the Discord API, the Telegram API, the Facebook API, and the Instagram API. So it allows people to get credit for doing likes and follows and subscribing and all of that, and it buys back whatever native token or whatever token they want it to buy back to pay out. They choose, and they choose the amount of time they want it to run for, and at the point that they initialize the contest, they're essentially setting it to a point where it's going to end on that date, and all costs associated with it ending on that date are already paid. So once it started, uh, th- it's out of their hands. They can't do what people could do on Gleam, which is start a contest, say that they're going to pay out $10,000 when the contest ends in a week, and then the week gets there and they push it back another week, and they push it
Right.
back another week. That is not possible on our model, right? Because it's once it's initialized, it's on,
Mm-hmm.
and and it's fair. So yeah, it's just these are the things that we're building that have real world utility and real value, and it's just I feel better than I ever have because I feel like we're building better things than we've ever built, and they're gonna perform. I'm confident of that. It's just to build real things, to do real innovation takes time,
Of course.
and we've really been laying the groundwork over the past 8 or so months, and we're ready to show it off.
Yeah, man, we're excited, man. And again, I want to make sure that you understand, you are appreciated, man. We love you. We appreciate everything you're doing, and thank you so much. We look forward to everything that's going to be coming out. And again, people, all the waiting is going to be worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Yeah, I get a ton of love from the community, and I feel it and I appreciate it. When you have competitor projects out there, and it can be very easy to get kind of thrown off because it's called getting one guide, right? Like streamers know you get one guide, and what that is one guy in the chat or one guy in your
Yeah.
replies. Uh, that one negative guy is the guy that you
Yeah.
notice, and it
Yeah.
throws you off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like 99% positive, and you're always going to get that one guy. It could be the developer of a competing project that you
Mm-hmm.
had competed with in the past and you have some beef, or it could be a guy that just made a poor speculative decision and now he wants to blame you for all his life problems or whatever. But,
Yeah.
uh, you know, it, I always try to keep my eye on the bigger picture and just see that we have tons and tons of users that really appreciate the work we do, and we couldn't be doing it without them because you build these solutions. If no one wants to use them, it's pointless. So
Right.
I appreciate you guys just as much as you appreciate the work we do, and I appreciate you for having me on, man. This has been a
Thanks, man.
great interview,
Thank you.
and yeah, we'll do it again.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right, guys. So you heard it from the man himself. Thank you so much, Forex, for coming out here and blessing me with this wonderful AMA today. And these guys are going to kick my ass if I don't bring this up one more time.
Hmm.
May 25th is going to be bullish, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt. We're prepared to make a major announcement next Thursday. Yep,
Awesome.
25th.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and bring this stream to a close. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to the like button. And Forex, if you have any last words, you can go ahead and let us know now.
Yeah, I would just say keep watching guys like this. They're bringing you value. They're taking you into good projects that have a bright future in front of them. And these are the kind of guys you want to pay attention to, not the guys that are shilling you Pepe when it's like up whenever it's up. And you know, uh, these are just people that are part of the community and really support good projects. And it's my pleasure to be here. And we'll have to do this again when I guess drip stuff goes live, or maybe when V3. It's up to you. But I
Okay.
really appreciate it, man. And yeah, we'll touch base again. Thank you, everybody. Join the Telegram. I'm sure the links will be in the description. And we had a little bit of issues at the start, but this is your first stream, and everybody needs to learn. And
Yeah.
you've learned, and yeah, next time, it'll be better, and that's what it's about, improving all the time. So I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, brother.
All right,
All
we'll
right.
talk soon.
Talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.